The legacy of Forrester Creations has always been built upon a foundation of fierce loyalty, uncompromising artistic vision, and the unbreakable bonds of blood. For decades, the towering glass and steel architecture of the Los Angeles fashion house has stood as a monument to the genius of Eric Forrester. He is the patriarch, the visionary, and the undisputed king of the couture world. Throughout the years, Eric has navigated countless corporate scandals, hostile takeovers, and bitter family feuds with a sense of measured grace and quiet authority. He has always been the steady hand guiding his family through the darkest of storms. However, every man has a breaking point, and the simmering tensions currently echoing through the executive hallways have finally pushed the legendary designer over the edge into a realm of unprecedented fury. The delicate balance of power that has kept the company functioning is about to be shattered in a spectacular display of patriarchal wrath. The catalyst for this impending explosion is the deeply marginalized state of Hope Logan. For weeks, Hope has been subjected to a grueling psychological endurance test under the condescending leadership of Steffi Forrester. The Hope for the Future line, a brand that Hope poured her heart, soul, and endless hours of dedication into, has been unceremoniously paused to make way for Eric's couture collection. Steffi has utilized her position as co-CEO not just to manage the company, but to actively diminish Hope's contributions, treating her like a subordinate novice rather than a seasoned fashion executive. The sheer indignity of being pushed to the sidelines in a building her own mother helped build has driven Hope to a state of absolute radicalization. She is no longer the passive, optimistic designer willing to wait for her turn. She is transformed into a strategic combatant, ready to burn the current corporate structure to the ground to reclaim her rightful place. In the quiet, shadowy corners of the design offices, Hope has been meticulously plotting her retaliation. Recognizing that Steffi will never willingly cede power or grant her the respect she deserves, Hope has pushed her mother, Brooke Logan, to execute a hostile takeover for the co-CEO seat. The plan is audacious, calculated, and deeply dangerous. Brooke, fueled by her own feelings of disrespect and maternal protectiveness, has fully embraced the scheme, launching a relentless campaign to force Ridge to strip Steffi of her title. It is a corporate coup d'etat born of desperation and vengeance, aimed directly at the heart of the Forrester hierarchy. But in the incestuous, heavily monitored world of Los Angeles high fashion, secrets are a luxury no one can afford. Whispers of the mutiny have begun to circulate, slipping through the cracks of the executive boardroom and making their way to the one man who possesses the power to crush them all. When the truth finally reaches Eric Forrester, the realization of what Hope and Brooke are attempting to orchestrate hits him like a physical blow. The patriarch discovers that the women he has welcomed into his family, the women who bear the Logan name, are actively conspiring to overthrow his granddaughter. The betrayal cuts deep into his soul, severing the lingering ties of affection he holds for Brooke and igniting a firestorm of righteous indignation. Eric views Steffi not just as a co-CEO, but as the living embodiment of the Forrester legacy, the fierce protector of his life's work. The idea that Hope and Brooke would manipulate the corporate structure to dethrone her is an offense he cannot and will not tolerate. The gentle, forgiving patriarch instantly vanishes, replaced by a ruthless, uncompromising titan who is prepared to scorch the earth to protect his bloodline. Eric's unprecedented fury is a terrifying sight to behold. He does not pause to gather his thoughts, nor does he seek out Ridge to mediate the conflict. Instead, he bypasses the internal drama of Forrester Creations entirely, setting his sights on the one place where the Logans believe they have found sanctuary and power: Katie Logan's newly minted fashion empire. The physical manifestation of Eric's rage is palpable as he marches out of the Forrester building, his jaw set in a rigid line of absolute determination. The Los Angeles sky seems to darken in sympathy with his mood, the heavy atmosphere mirroring the catastrophic storm he is about to unleash upon Katie's doorstep. He is a man possessed by the singular goal of eradicating the threat to his family's dominance. Across town, the atmosphere at Logan is one of jubilant celebration and profound optimism. Katie Logan Spencer is currently basking in the magnificent glow of her debut collection's global success. Billboards featuring her brand are illuminating the skies of major cities around the world, and the initial sales projections are nothing short of astronomical. Katie feels a deep sense of validation, believing she has finally stepped out of the long, oppressive shadows cast by her sister Brooke and the Forrester dynasty. She is building an empire of her own, guided by the ruthless business acumen of Bill Spencer and fueled by her own undeniable ambition. However, this beautiful illusion of independence is built upon a foundation of borrowed brilliance, a vulnerability that is about to be brutally exposed. The undeniable truth is that the spectacular success of the Logan brand is entirely dependent on the exclusive designs provided by Eric Forrester. He is the architectural genius behind the garments that are currently taking the fashion world by storm. Without his sketches, his vision, and his unparalleled expertise, Katie's company is nothing more than a hollow shell, a marketing machine with no actual product to sell. Katie has allowed herself to forget the precarious nature of this arrangement, lulled into a false sense of security by the overwhelming positive reception of her launch. She is completely unprepared for the devastating reality check that is rapidly approaching her executive suite. The heavy oak doors of Katie's office suddenly fly open with a violent, echoing crash, shattering the peaceful, triumphant atmosphere of the room. Eric Forrester stands in the doorway, his chest heaving, his eyes blazing with an intensity that immediately drains the warmth from the air. The sheer volume and aggressive nature of his entrance forces Katie to stumble backward, her celebratory smile instantly replaced by a mask of profound shock and confusion. She has known Eric for decades, has loved him, respected him, and relied on his gentle wisdom, but the man standing before her now is a stranger. He is a force of nature, a hurricane of pure, unadulterated anger ready to tear her world apart. Before Katie can even utter a word of greeting or ask what has provoked this terrifying intrusion, Eric launches into a blistering verbal assault. His voice, usually so measured and calm, booms through the office, vibrating with a deep, resonant fury. He does not hold back, unleashing decades of suppressed frustration regarding the endless, toxic cycle of Logan interference in his family's affairs. He points an accusing finger at Katie, his words cutting through the air like a finely sharpened blade. He declares, with absolute and unwavering certainty, that he has uncovered the treacherous, manipulative plot orchestrated by Brooke and hoped to overthrow Steffi and seize control of Forrester Creations. The air in the room grows completely stagnant as Eric delivers his most crushing blow. He looks Katie directly in the eyes and declares that Hope's continued presence at Logan, her attempt to seek refuge and employment within Katie's company, is a direct, unforgivable insult to the Forrester bloodline. He frames the situation not as a simple career move or a corporate defection, but as a calculated act of war against his family. By offering Hope a position, by giving her a platform and a title after she has actively conspired against his granddaughter, Eric argues that Katie is complicit in the ultimate betrayal. He demands absolute loyalty to the Forrester name, a loyalty he feels the Logans have consistently and maliciously violated. Katie is absolutely paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of the accusation. She attempts to formulate a defense, to explain that her desire to hire Hope was born of a genuine need for a lead designer and a desire to support her niece, but the words die in her throat. The hostility radiating from Eric is so overwhelming that it suffocates any attempt at rational dialogue. She is forced to stand there, pinned beneath the weight of his towering rage, as she realizes the true depth of the catastrophic conflict she has inadvertently stepped into. The corporate battle she thought she was managing has rapidly escalated into a deeply personal, blood feud-level war. It is in this moment of terrifying silence that Eric delivers his devastating ultimatum, a decree that will alter the course of both their lives forever. His voice drops to a lethal, quiet register, devoid of any warmth or hesitation. He tells Katie that she has exactly two choices, and neither of them allows for negotiation or compromise. The first option is to immediately and publicly refuse to hire Hope Logan. She must rescind any offers, sever any professional ties, and send her niece back to the halls of Forrester Creations to face the severe disciplinary consequences of her mutinous actions. Hope must be forced to stand before Steffi and Ridge and answer for her attempted corporate coup. The second half of the ultimatum is a threat so severe it threatens to stop Katie's heart. Eric states, with chilling clarity, that if Katie refuses to comply, if she chooses to harbor hope and support her insubordination, he will immediately withdraw all of his exclusive designs from the Logan brand. He will pack up his sketches, legally block the production of any garments bearing his artistic signature, and walk out of her company forever. He will completely sever his professional relationship with Katie, leaving her debut collection in ruins and her brand completely devoid of the creative genius it requires to survive. It is a threat of total, instantaneous corporate annihilation. The profound gravity of Eric's words crashes over Katie like a tidal wave of ice water. She is stunned by the extreme harshness of his stance, realizing in a terrifying instant that the entire future of her newly built empire is hanging by a thread. If Eric walks out the door taking his designs with him, the multi-million-dollar global campaign she has launched with Bill Spencer will become a colossal, humiliating failure. The investors will flee, the fashion press will tear her to shreds, and the Logan brand will be dead before it ever truly lived. Her company's survival is now entirely dependent on her willingness to sacrifice her own niece to the wrath of the Forrester family. As Katie processes the impossible choice before her, a deep, agonizing internal conflict threatens to tear her mind apart. Just days ago, her sister Donna had brutally accused her of using Hope as a pawn to enact a 20-year-old revenge plot against Brooke for stealing Bill Spencer. Katie had vehemently denied the accusation, insisting her motives were purely business-oriented. But now, faced with Eric's ultimatum, the lines between business, family loyalty, and subconscious resentment are hopelessly blurred. If she sends Hope back to be punished, she will be validating Donna's worst fears and permanently destroying her relationship with Brooke. If she protects Hope, she loses everything she has worked so hard to build. She is trapped in a nightmare of her own making, realizing that her company's future is severely threatened by a family conflict she cannot control. The news of Eric's tyrannical move does not remain confined to the walls of Katie's office for long. In the incestuous, hyper-connected world of Los Angeles fashion, information moves with the speed of lightning. When the details of the devastating ultimatum finally reach Brooke Logan Forrester, the reaction is nothing short of volcanic. Brooke is absolutely consumed by a blinding, maternal outrage that eclipses any rational thought. The very idea that Eric, a man who claims to love her and her children, would use his immense, unchecked corporate power to aggressively oppress and humiliate her daughter is an offense she cannot process. Brooke's fury is a visceral, living entity. She sees Eric's actions not as the protective measures of a concerned patriarch, but as the tyrannical bullying of a man who has lost his moral compass. How dare he march into her sister's office and demand that Hope be sent back to Forrester like a disobedient child to face the wrath of Steffi? How dare he use his artistic brilliance as a weapon of mass destruction to hold Katie's company hostage? In Brooke's eyes, Eric is mirroring the exact same arrogant, condescending behavior that Steffi has been exhibiting for months. He is proving that the Forrester superiority complex is a toxic trait passed down through the generations, a weapon used to keep the Logans in a perpetual state of subordination. The historical weight of Brooke's relationship with Eric makes the betrayal infinitely more painful. This is the man she was once married to, the man who fathered 2 of her children, the man she has always viewed as a pillar of strength and fairness. To see him act with such ruthless cruelty toward Hope shatters the pedestal upon which she had placed him. Brooke realizes that when the chips are down, when the Forrester bloodline is perceived to be under threat, Eric will always choose his own, regardless of the collateral damage inflicted upon the people who have loved him for decades. The realization radicalizes Brooke even further, cementing her absolute determination to execute the hostile takeover and strip the Forresters of their unchecked power. Caught squarely in the crossfire of this escalating war of the Titans is Hope Logan. She has become a pawn in a much larger game of corporate chess, her career and her future manipulated by the explosive egos of the people around her. She pushed her mother to fight for power because she wanted agency, because she wanted to secure the future of her brand. But now, her actions have awakened a sleeping dragon in Eric Forrester, and the consequences of her ambition are spiraling rapidly out of control. Her existential dread deepens as she realizes that her entire career at Forrester Creations is not just hanging by a thread, it is actively being targeted for destruction by the founder of the company himself. As the dust settles from Eric's explosive confrontation in Katie's office, the atmosphere in Los Angeles is thick with the promise of impending devastation. The lines in the sand have been permanently drawn, carved with the sharp edges of betrayal, ambition, and bloodline loyalty. Katie must make a choice that will either destroy her family or her empire. Brooke is preparing to wage an all-out war against the man she once called her husband. And Eric Forrester has definitively proven that he will burn the entire fashion industry to the ground before he allows a Logan to usurp the legacy he has built for his granddaughter. The magnificent chaos is only just beginning, and the ashes of these two great families will soon scatter across the
Oh,